Welcome to Season 3 of Trap Talk.
Brought to you by Craigoff, the choice of champions.
All right, everybody, it's John here with the Trap Talk podcast, and we are back. It is another listener extravaganza for you. Thank you to everybody for submitting your questions, and we promised you before the year was out we were going to get this done, and here we are. We're getting it done. So, guys, kicking it off, first of all, happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Good to see you guys.
Happy holidays.
Are you guys ready for some listener questions?
I love listener questions. I live for it.
Absolutely.
Basically, last night when you told me you were going to do this, I had a hard time sleeping because I was so excited.
That's what we'd love to hear.
It's so full of crap.
I believed it. It felt sincere. All right. We all know Zach sleeps like a baby.
For anybody that's never traveled with Zach, he's got no problem sleeping.
Yeah.
I sleep like a baby.
Clear conscience.
Let's hit it.
All
Hit
right.
us with question number one, John. Smoke us.
Okay. Hey, we're coming in. Good question coming in from Alana Paulson. And the question is, for a first-time Grand attendee as a sub-junior, is it best to go to the AIM Grand or the normal Grand? All right. So we've got a first-time visitor to the Grand American.
That's a good question.
Go to everything.
Yeah. Well, the Grand American is the Grand American. The AIM Grand is just the AIM, in my opinion, because it's just kids. So
Sure.
if you're wanting to shoot the Grand, then come to the Grand. And I mean, it's a big event with the prelims and the main Grand of shooting everything, 2,600 targets. So I would say is, come in. If you want to shoot it all, shoot it all. If not, shoot a few days, go around, see everything, soak it all in and shoot the whole, main week is my opinion.
Maybe Alana's talking about first time to Sparta, right? To the World Shooting Complex. Maybe that's, where the question's coming from too.
I would say it depends on what she wants to do as far as what the focal point is. If she's like, well, I want to compete in the Grand, well, then that's one thing.
Yep.
But honestly, from going to the AIM, because me and Rick have gone to the AIM now with this podcast and spent the whole weekend there, there's so many kids there that if I was young and I wasn't like trying to win, a grand ring or anything like that, and I just wanted to soak in the experience, I feel like there's probably a better opportunity to meet more people your own age and enjoy, kind of that like-minded involvement during the AIM Grand, because they have the really cool opening ceremony. They had Travis Mears out there. They've got the pizza party. They've got some other stuff going on. So, I think if you're like a diehard competitor and you're like, all I care about is winning, well, then, yeah, I want to go to the Grand. But if you're more like, well, I want the experience of a lot of people my own age and seeing, that type of deal, I would say the AIM is probably better for younger people. And there's a lot of stores that do giveaways and stuff just during AIM week, like, the shirts and, the hats and things like that. And they've got the Easter egg hunt that they do with their phones now where they scan the QR codes. John, we should have something like that. What do you think? Can we make that happen? Come on, producer.
Okay. Sure. Yeah, I'll work on it.
Another event for us to do. Good job.
Add it to the list and we'll double your pay.
I mean, we're gonna be out there. I will say, last year when we were getting the studio ready, as you guys know, like Tish and I were out there pretty early, and when they did that scavenger hunt, you've never seen just more fun by like hundreds of kids just rolling around on golf carts, like trying to find stuff, asking random people, "Do you have a bag of peanuts? Do you have?" It was pretty funny. So the AIM sounds like a great time with your age group, and then obviously the Grand is its own thing. You're coming in to compete against obviously the top shooters in the country.
Yeah. There's two different shoots in my opinion. So it's just what like Zach said, your focal point. Are you wanting to compete against just the kids, or are you wanting to compete against everybody in the actual Grand American? Because they're two separate shoots for All-American points. The AIM Grand is separate also for All-American points. Then you have the prelim week and the main week of the Grand, which is two different shoots, but counts as one towards the All-American points.
Right. Yeah, so decisions for Alana, but also, maybe the first time you go to the AIM, then you get to check out Sparta. Then the next year you guys plan and go to the Grand American. So Thank you guys. Alana, let us know how it goes. We'll be out there. So come by the studio and say hi to us and let us know how it's going.
All right, folks, we got to take a quick second and give a huge shout out to our title sponsor, Craigoff. Me and Ricky both shoot him. We both love him.
Yeah, best gun in the industry. I shoot them. I sell them. Nothing better, folks. Get yourself a Craigoff. Your scores will increase.
Yeah, I mean, Ricky's got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with his. I mean, I've got a few hundreds, but I'm always working to get a little bit better, and they definitely help me, that's for sure. So on top of that, we also got to thank Winnig. I'm wearing the shirt today. Love this shirt. If you're down at the Grand, pick one up.
Yeah, Winnig, like I said, Zach, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds with my Winnig stock. You know, get a hold of Bobby, Luke, Bill, get an appointment set up. They will make you a better shooter with that Winnig stock.
Of course, yeah, the Grand's the great place to do it. Give them a call, get on their book. It's worth your time.
Just remember, winners shoot Winnigs.
With that being said,
Let's get back to the show.
Brian Hayes, how do you make the jump from recreational shooting to competitive shooting when you don't have anyone to lean on in the sport?
Well, jump in. I mean, go to a shoot.
Let's expand on Brian's question here. I think what he's saying is, I'm a recreational shooter. I love the sport. I'm wanting to take it more seriously. Maybe Rick, can you take us back and talk to us about what that transition was? Because at one point, Rick, you were a recreational shooter, right? I mean,
I just shot, had fun. I shot high school, junior high, which was through the high school team, and I went out and shot an ATA shoot, and I was like, oh, okay, and so that's what I would recommend: is go to your local gun club, you know, where you at, Brian, or if you got to travel a little bit, you know, find out where the next registered shoot is and just show up and shoot, and just don't have any expectations. Just show up, introduce yourself to people, because everybody at the gun club will take you in, and you explain, hey, you know, it's my first time doing this, and then they'll really take you in. And then they get the claws into you, and then you got to take out loans, and you got to get a good job, you know.
Yeah.
So,
then all of a sudden you're on the board of directors. It's a whole thing, Brian.
You're the producer.
Exactly what Rick's saying. I think at the end of the day, you know, the best way to do it is to say, first of all, plan it. Like, figure out what shoot you want to go to, whether it's local or regional. Plan it out, okay? And I would say, if you're really jumping into it, small starting, find a shoot within a few hours of your house.
Yep.
Look for an ATA weekend shoot when you want to go. Plan it, and maybe even see if you've got a buddy that's new with you that hasn't done it, and go do it together. When I started shooting the first time, there was like 3 people that started shooting within a month of when I started shooting ATA, and we all kind of came up together. But if you go and you know, first time, like Rick says, hey, it's my first time here. What do I do? Where do I go? Everybody's going to welcome you in. You're going to meet a bunch of friends, but you're not going to make those friends if you don't go. So if you're like, well, I don't want to go and sit in my car all day and be alone. Well, at the end of the day, you got to go, and you got to put yourself out there, and then you got to let people know, hey, this is my first time. And, you know, I wish everyone was really awesome and great, which most people are, but some people aren't. So you also got to take, you know, just because you show up and you're like nice and you introduce yourself, not everybody's going to be like, oh, well, welcome, and, you know, a great experience. Like, there's some people that are a little grouchy. So at the end of the day, you just got to remember that there's, you know, you might run into me, and if you run into me, it's going to be a bad day. Okay. If I haven't had my Snickers bar, I'm not myself.
Okay, hold on a sec. If you run into Zach, the Labrador Retriever of trap shooting, you'll be fine. Okay, I think what Zach's trying to say is, they're not all Labradors. Okay, that's fine. But
there's a couple of Chihuahuas out there. There's those terrier things.
Okay, all right. Whatever dog you choose, Zach's a nice dog. But I will say this to your guys' point. You know, when you first show up at that ATA shoot, you probably heard about it from your buddies. You didn't, you know, maybe you've got a small group and you're going. Maybe you're a league shooter and you want to try out ATA shoots. Totally normal. For the most part, 99% of the time, we want you there. We're happy to help.
Everybody wants new people at the shoot. That's why we're doing this. Everybody wants more people to shoot, right? Yeah, I think we got to figure out how to make it a little bit better. But at the end of the day, you know, we want to see large shoots. You don't want to go to a shoot where there's 3 squads. I mean, that's not any fun. All right, folks, we got to take a real quick break and acknowledge the official target of the ATA, White Flyer. They've been sponsoring us since the beginning, and they make a great target. What do you think, Rick?
It's the best target in the ATA. Shout out to everybody there, all the reps, Bill Daniels, Josh Taylor, Nick Arnold, Robert Crow, everything they do for the sport and all the shoots. Really appreciate it.
They're always there. They're always trying to make a better target, and they're always supporting the game that we love so much. With that being said,
let's get back to the show. Here's the thing too, is you want to make sure, Brian, you if just pick a shoot, go to it and enjoy yourself, and maybe don't be standoffish, just, try to jump in with both feet and be, hey, what's your guys' rules here? Is there something I'm missing? What do I need to know? The little things, I would recommend reading the ATA rule book.
It's a good thing.
Go through the stuff so you kind of know and have a little bit of insight of what is, good and what's bad, what you can do, what you can't do and such, what ammo to use. I've seen this a lot at local shoots where I've shown up just to practice or something and someone's out there and I'm like, man, that shell's kind of loud. And, I've went up and one of the directors is like, does that sound odd to you? And I'm like, yeah, well, guys out there shooting hunting loads.
Just a game load.
Which what he did, went to the local Walmart, bought ammo. He said, hey, I'm going to shoot trap. And they said, oh yeah, these will work. He didn't know. He took them, went out. They were 3 1/4 dram of 6s.
1 1/4 ounce.
Yeah, and he was
they were right, though. It would work.
Yeah, it worked. You're smoking everything.
He said, man, my shoulder hurt after the first 10. I didn't think these were right, but he goes, that's what they told me. So just, make sure you're on the right trail. And if you have any questions, ask the manager, the shoot
manager. Yeah.
Ask any of those people and they will gladly help you along.
Yeah, that is completely normal too. At every shoot that the NSTA puts on, there's always a couple of new shooters coming in, and your questions are completely fine. No dumb questions. It's gonna feel a little like first day at school, right? Where you're just you don't get but then very quickly it becomes something that you understand what's happening. You understand the flow. You looked at the program. Okay, we're going to shoot, singles, handicap, doubles today. You don't have to shoot all the events. You can just shoot the events that you want to shoot.
Pick one.
All that type of stuff. Yeah. And you know what? I
would recommend one thing is ask, who's the better shooters and watch them shoot. Introduce yourself. I mean, folks, that's how I met a lot of the top shooters as a brand new shooter at the Grand American. I introduced myself and then I'd sit there and watch and I'd just watch them shoot just to kind of see what they did and stuff. And that's how you learn, and if people don't like you watching them shoot, I mean, I always recommend it. Just don't bother.
The good shooters don't mind, Rick. The good shooters don't.
Don't stand on the 28-yard line, but
don't stand behind the score.
Okay? Ricky said I could watch. Shut up.
Hey, well, guys, these days you don't have to
at a
ask,
distance
right?
and being reasonable and not talking loud, watching, yes, but don't be that guy that hovers and behind the tree and make it weird.
Be a vulture.
I don't want to think I'm getting served a warrant or something.
Cool. Yeah. Hey, but these days, guys, you don't even really have to ask. Just open up the SOS Clays app. You can see who's at the top of the leaderboard. I mean, right there.
Your plugs are on point today, John. I'm
telling you, shameless plug. SOS Clays. Greg P. Gotta love him. Yeah. Hey, Brian, thank you for the question. I know a lot of people have that question, so we appreciate you sending it in. And you know what? Just put yourself out there. Before you know it, you'll have a whole group of friends around you that shoot and travel, and it really is what it's all about. So good luck with that. We hope to see you at the next shoot. Obviously, if you end up at the Grand American, come see us or some of the other big shoots around the country. So again, thank you to Brian Hayes.
Not to talk to people like Zach.
Talk to people like Zach. Don't listen to Rick. Talk to people like Zach. Actually, he'll talk to you first. You don't have to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, I got some life insurance to tell you.
All right, Trap Talk listeners, let's take a couple seconds and thank a couple more sponsors. First of all, Remington's been with us since day one. I've been shooting these shells since 2007. I shoot the Nitro 27 from the 27-yard line, ounce and eighth, 7.5, and STS ounce and eighth, eighths for singles and doubles. They've worked great for me, as they do a lot of top shooters all around the country. Give them a try. Don't forget the Gun Club line when you're practicing and you're wanting to save a little bit of money.
We'd also like to thank another sponsor, Outlaw Engineering. Randy Freston, R2. I've known Randy since 1988. They do engineering, surveying, drafting, GIS, civil, structural, land development, wetland permitting. They do it all.
And they're friends of trap shooters. I mean, they're a trap shooting family. They've been in the ATA forever. His dad's been involved. They're involved. They're a beautiful family. They're great people. And we just love that they listen to the show, and we love that they support Trap Talk.
Yeah, his dad was past president in 1989. So I really want to thank those guys for the support. I really appreciate it here at Trap Talk.
With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
This next question comes in from Michael Stake. Michael says, I hear everyone talking about points to make a team. I'm wondering how you achieve the points and how many points does it take for you to be able to make the team. Love the show and thanks for sharing your knowledge. I think Michael's talking about when we throw around All-American points, or, hey, you go to this shoot, it was a comp factor of this, I got points. So maybe what we'll do for Michael, guys, is maybe we'll just take it back and let's just talk about what is this point system in All-American. We got a couple All-Americans here on the show today with you, so you've come to the right place, Michael.
Well, I've been on the team now, 34 times, and it started off as it went by your wins. They weren't really points starting off. It was kind of, they picked the team by, oh, you won this much. You had these many ties. Okay. Oh, you're the, but then it also, I know my first year in 1988, it went off how you placed at the Grand American. So like I finished second place in the sub junior in the overall at the Grand American. I was second place on the All-American team. Well, now it's evolved into a point system to where it's based on the attendance factor. So the number of attendees get you a comp factor. And then your prelim days, you get 5 points for champion, 4 points for second, and 3 points for third. And then the championship events, you get 10 points for champion, 7, and then 5. And that's singles, handicap, doubles, all around overall. So, of course, it's always better to go to the higher attended, higher comp factor shoots to get the most points. Or you go to the satellite grands that throw the most targets, including, the Heartland grand's the best way
baby.
For points. That's Zach's favorite shoot because he could shoot he could shoot Monday on and get 3 events a day, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday is 2 events, Sunday's 2 events. So it is the biggest point shoot by any shoot out there, close to the grand. But if you want to make the team, it depends on what team. Are you a category shooter? Does it say, John, is he a category shooter?
No, Michael didn't put in there if he shoots a category or he's open. So
as far as how many points does it take to make the team, that can vary year to year.
Yes.
I think last year, Zach, I don't remember what bottom was on the second team.
I don't know. Why don't you look it up and I'll kind of expand a little. I think obviously everything Rick said was correct. He's been on the team more years than I've been alive, and I've been alive 33 years. He's been on it 34 years. If you want to make the team, I think it's really important to figure out what part of the team you want to make, right? If you're trying to make it on the top tier first team in any category, you're going to obviously need to go to the really big shoots with big comp factors. And that comp factor, what Rick was saying, if we get a 5 of comp factor, well, then you win singles champion on Saturday. It's worth 10 points. You take the 10 points, time the 5, and that's a 50-point deal right there. 10 times 5. So when you're looking at it, if you're trying to make high on the team, you have to go to the really, really big shoots that have higher competition factors. I think if you're someone that's not trying to make really high on the team and you're just trying to make the second team, you might be better off doing the state shoot route, maybe go to out-of-state places, go to places where you feel like you could compete. Maybe going to threes and fours or smaller shoots might be a good strategy for you depending on what category you're in. Obviously, when we talk about first, second, and third, we're talking about first, second, and third score, okay?
Right.
So you don't have to necessarily win a trophy. You can go, and if you shoot a 95 and there's only a 96 and a 97 above you, you're guaranteed to get points that day.
We got another sponsor we got to thank.
Yep.
Shotguns West, the Pulas, baby. Check out these wings. Ricky don't got these. He ain't that stylish.
Oh, folks, listen. Zach tries to wear these driving down the road, doing podcasts. It's okay. We still love
Hey,
it.
when you look good, you don't have to apologize. Remember that. Not only can you hit more targets, but you can look good doing it. Give Ryan a call.
That's right.
With that being said,
Let's get back to the show.
So, there might be some clubs, an example, Hawaii, right? Who's going to Hawaii? I mean, I know they're only a 2 comp factor, but at the end of the day, if you think you could shoot top 3 scores in Hawaii and the top score is a 92 every day, well, there it is, right? Now, I think you have to study what you want to get to and figure out what your budget is and figure out how many shoots you can go to. But the most important thing to remind yourself is that you can only use 7 shoots. So no matter what, if you go to 10 shoots, 15 shoots, 20 shoots, you can only use 7 shoots. So if budget is a concern and you want to get the most bang for your buck, plan 7 shoots. If you can't quite get to 7 shoots, then you need to plan to go to, 4 shoots or 5 shoots. There's not a lot of people that are going to make the team unless they're in a category with less than 4 shoots. Now, there's been some scenarios where category shooters, you could have a stellar grand or, really good shots and they make a lot of points on, 2 or 3 or 4 shoots. But at the end of the day, you're going to need to hit target requirements and you're going to need to basically get enough points to make it. And every team's different.
You have to make, so elaborating on the target requirements, that varies by what team, but you also have to shoot in 3 states to make the team. So you just can't shoot, like if you lived in Illinois, you're just going to shoot the Illinois State shoot and the grand and make the team.
No.
You have to travel. So, but the lowest on the All-American men's team, second team, was 976 last year, and then 980, and then it was over 1,000. So you really, if you want to give a shot to make the team, the grand and to shoot both weeks is probably the most important of it.
But also the hardest because you have to shoot the best, right? So, you have to look at it different. Rick thinks only like a true champion. So Rick thinks like a guy that's going to be a captain because he's a captain. He's been a captain. That's how he thinks. But if you're looking at this from a number standpoint, if you take 1,000 and you divide it by 7, you only need 142 points a shoot. So if you look at that and
now hold on, that's bottom. So that can vary too. That
Correct.
can vary by people, how everybody shoots.
Correct. But maybe someone's route to the first time All-American bottom of the second team might be going to the Golden West Grand. It might be going to the
Golden West Grand. So pick another shoot.
What'd you say?
The Golden West Grand, you're only getting the last 3 days. So you're not gonna get the 100. The attendance factor there is not. That's a 2.
Now I want to spend a second on this, Rick, because I was unaware. I thought that the rule with the ATA said once they hit that other
satellite grand, the Golden West Grand's not a satellite grand.
No, but I'm talking about other shoots that hit the factor. Don't they get the 1,300 target back just like state shoots? Because last year the Golden West Grand, every event counted Wednesday on.
It shouldn't. I wouldn't think because it's not a.
Well,
true...
I think the rule we could go offline and check this, but I think the current rule is that if you hit it on the championship events now, the way it's written, they give points back to Wednesday on 1,300 targets. That's what I think it is.
Change that,
and that was a recent change.
Is if you're trying to make the team, go to the shoots, like Zach said, see what your budget is, because it's not a cheap sport, and it's definitely not cheap to make the All-American team. And especially, like, Zach pays for Zach. I pay for me and my son. So, then we got Justin. He's got him, Wyatt, and Bear.
Correct.
I'm going to try to talk Amber into shooting. I mean, might as well if he's going to spend money.
I don't think you're going to scare him away.
No, but that's the thing.
You're not going to break him with a couple more shooters.
Depend on where you're from. The local state shoots, I absolutely recommend. Go to your state shoots. Okay, shoot your state shoots. If you can make it to a satellite grand, great. If you can't, that's fine too. But coming to the grand, it gives you the biggest opportunity, because the way the point system works now, and this is solely my opinion only, this is not based on wins anymore, folks. This is based on if you can break a score. Okay?
Correct.
If you can break a score, you get points. So
Correct.
if you break 100 straight, a 99, or a 98 in all three events, you're getting points no matter what. Now, how the point system used to be before they did it now is you got points off trophy wins.
Correct.
So there was no guarantee. Now, you did get guaranteed tie points, which was a lot less. It was like 1 times a factor or 3 times a factor. Where now, if I go out and break 100 straight in a class event at a satellite grand, a state shoot, the Grand American, and there's no champion trophy. So we'll just do the grand, because the grand does not have a class singles or a class doubles champion. It's the class singles, AAA, AA, B, C, and D. Okay. So if I go out in the class singles at the Grand American Monday singles during the main week and break a 200, I'm guaranteed 12 points times the factor of 10. I get 120 points right there. Boom. I do the same thing in the doubles. I break 100 straight. I get 120 points. Now, if I break a 99, I get 90 points.
Yep.
Because it's 12, 9, 7. I break a 98, I get 70. So all you got to do is break a score. So really, in my opinion only, they have made it a lot easier to get on the team, because now you don't have to go stand out there and shoot off and shoot 500 straight to get a trophy. You broke the score. I got the points.
Yeah, and I'll agree. I'll agree with Rick on that factor for sure. The only thing that I would caveat to that, when you say, okay, it's easier to make the team, I have the trap and fields when we were on the trophy point system, and the points that it took to make the team were a lot lower, because when you take that out, I mean, you weren't getting what you were getting. You were getting, people were making the team with 600 points. I mean, I remember making the junior team with like 690 points on 7 shoots, right? So at the end of the day, you could say, hard or easier. Well, now it's taking, 3,700 points to captain. So, at the end of the day, whether you did it that way or this way, I don't think you're not picking the best shooters, because obviously we're seeing the top of the top of the top compete at that level. I just think the numbers all changed. It took to make the team then is way different than what it takes to make the team now.
And that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that it's the shooter chain. I'm just saying it's easier to get points now.
100%, way easier to get points.
Yeah.
But the number for points that you need is 2 or 3 times higher. And even when they came out with this, the first year they did this change, because I think it was, I don't know, was it 2019 or 2020, Rick? Do you remember?
It would have been the first or second year of the Dixie Grand in North Carolina.
So what I can remember, because I do study this, because I try to make the men's team every year, and what I've noticed is every year since they started this program, the bottom of the second team has gone up by about 100 points. So it's going up consistently, and I think it's going to take more points to make the slots next year than it took this year.
Hey, Trop Talk listeners, let's take a quick second to thank a couple more amazing sponsors. SOS Clay's Shoot Management. They're doing a fantastic job. I love the app. I love being able to see everything on my phone instantaneously. It's freaking awesome. Rick, what do you think?
Yeah, Greg Pink and his group over there. I mean, they've got majority of the satellite grands, majority of the state shoots. I think it's 40 plus state shoots they're doing. But the app, honestly, we were doing a little beta testing with that at the Spring Grand. It's awesome. You can see your squad if they paid. You can see your options, your payouts. The whole works at your fingertips. Great deal. They're just
Ricky knew how much money he made before he even got off the line. He was like, hey, I'm buying lunch. I'm like, yeah, good job. We're good to go.
That's
We
right.
also got gun and trophy insurance. I mean, they're the best in the business. I know they're great price. Ricky, you're familiar with them, right?
Yeah, Cole and Larry Cushman been long-time supporters of myself, and I've been a supporter of them, and especially with my college team. We require insurance. It's so fast and easy to sign up and get your insurance in literally 10 minutes. You can have your guns insured, and they're just great. They're great to deal with. Like I said, you can do your trophies also, your wildlife animals and that such, and your guns. It's just a great.
It's always good when you're
Great
traveling
company.
around to have that peace of mind and know that you don't have to worry about losing your stuff forever. And these are expensive things, especially when you got those Craig-offs. You got to keep them insured. So,
Oh, exactly.
with that being said,
let's get back to the show. Well, let me
it's some
elaborate
level.
quick. So 2012, I just looked up. 2012, 531 points was bottom on the second team.
There you go.
Bottom on the first team was 1,066.
There you go. See what I'm
Bottom-
saying?
On the second team this year was 976, 980, and then 1,040. So that's what I'm saying. It's a lot easier to obtain points now because, and like I said, folks, this is my opinion only, not Zach's, not John's, no one else's but mine. It has made it to where the mental state of shooting has changed because now you're not going out there worrying about, okay, man, I got to break this 100 straight. If you're chasing points, I got to break this 100 straight, and then I get in the shoot off and I got to win to be able to get these points. Now it's like, man, let's break this 100 straight. I got points.
Yeah.
It's a totally different mindset.
Totally different mindset.
And,
Yeah.
so that's why, and Zach and I have talked about it when, like, he shoots the Heartland. He shoots last year I shot, or last 2 years, I guess I've shot almost everything. I think last year I didn't shoot Monday or Tuesday. Monday, I think.
Shot Tuesday.
Yeah, I shot Tuesday.
You shot almost everything. You missed one day.
Yeah. And so, but people were like, well, why? And Zach's like, well, why not? All you got to do is go out there and break a score and you get the points. So it's an easy finish. So
If people want to talk about numbers and then want to talk about how to do it, I look at the game that way. Because it's just like math, it's just like money, it's just like anything else. Like you would say, well, why do you? Well, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you look at the rule book and why wouldn't you look at where you have the opportunity to get what you're going to get and give yourself the best opportunity to win? You got to play the game the way the game is written. And so at the end of the day, you've got to figure out where you want to be and how you want to do it and do it that way. If you want to be a captain, I'll tell you where to go. If you want to be bottom of the second team and you want
Yep, I'll tell you where to go.
but the biggest shoots, the biggest ones.
Every
right?
every one you hit
The biggest.
Illinois or PA, Wisconsin, Iowa.
The Heartland.
You hit the Heartland Grand, you hit the Spring Grand, you hit the Southern Grand, you hit the Autumn Grand, and the Grand American.
That's it. That's a good run. That's a good run. Now if I've got somebody that's trying to make their first time on the sub-vet second team, they don't need all that heat and that smoke. If that's not what they want, they might be better off driving to the local state shoots within 5 hours of where they live and hitting those up and getting a little less points. Might be cheaper, might be easier, might have less competition. And the other thing you have to remember is with state shoots, it's in-state and out-of-state. So if you're the only out-of-state guy at a shoot, you've got the points. If you're the only in-state guy at a shoot, you've got the point.
Rich Bullard goes to California.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some shoots there where, depending on the category you are in, there might not be 3 competitors that go in your category in-state, out-of-state. Where a satellite grand, it doesn't matter what state you're from, everybody's in the pool. If there's 10, there's 10 lady ones, well, then there's 10 lady ones. Well, in Utah,
Is break the score.
correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
And there's still this was, I mean, guys, this is a really good take on it. And I think a lot of the listeners, they need this depth, right? Because they're interested in All-American points. They see the teams getting posted up every year. Then the structure here is important, right? To Zach's point, the ATA has set out the rules of the game. You need to strategically play the rules of the game. It's not a good or bad thing. If they change the rules tomorrow, then Rick and Zach might change their strategy, because being on the All-American team is a monumental thing every year that they want to achieve. But you have to play the game as set.
If they put trophies back into the game, me and Rick are shooting off every night. I mean, we're going out to shoot, right? If that's the game, then that's the game.
What are you talking about?
You'd love it.
I shoot off. I just don't shoot. If it's a runner up and the points are there, I'm not going to waste the shells anymore.
Well, now, but that's
Now
not how
you
it used
wouldn't,
to be.
right?
Years ago, like
Right.
Iowa State shoot, I remember several times Harlan Campbell and myself shooting off for doubles, runner up, doubles AAA, and going 200 in the shoot off and losing and having a good time. It was a shoot off. You're out there grinding. Why? To get ready for the Grand American, for the shoot off. I mean, it's just
Sure, yeah.
And I honestly do think there's something lost to that. And there was a couple shoots where I decided, even though there wasn't any points involved, to shoot off just because I wanted to get myself back into the mindset. And I think there's a lot of people that aren't shooting off a lot, and there's a lot of people that shoot off every freaking time, no matter what, because they want to get prepared for that. And so,
Yeah.
Herbie's always shooting off.
Yeah.
For me, it's hard. It's hard to go into a shoot off for me after 300 target days if it's something that doesn't excite me. Now, if it's something that I'm excited about, I'm all for it. Like, hey, this is a new trophy. This is something I haven't won. This is a title or whatever. Yeah. But if it's something that you've got or you've done before, sometimes it loses a little bit of its allure. And you're like, do I really want to go do this versus go, have dinner with my buddies?
Here's the thing,
Right.
House, is when it's a champion shoot off, I'm shooting off. I'm not forfeiting. I'm not flipping a coin unless we come to an agreement. It's like Sunday or whatever, but, and I know in the past, like myself, when Big L was still around, we'd tie and say the all around and overall. We just go, okay, let's just flip, and the loser gets the all around and the winner gets the overall type of deal. So
Yeah,
you
split it. Be fair. Be fair.
there you go. Type of deal. But yeah, so back to the question of the All-American team, just what do you want to do? If you're wanting to make it, set out some guidelines. And if you got questions on that, like specific shoots, send them in. Reach out to Zachariah or John. We can definitely help you out and tell you, hey, I can. And we've talked about doing this an episode of, each shoot, break it down. Here's these hotels. Here's this. Here, the RV spots. People to contact.
The problem is that then we'll have nowhere to stay because everything's going to get booked up.
I want myself yearly. You're the only one.
Listen, no gatekeeping here on the Trap Talk podcast. We tell everything. But the All-American game is, yes, there's definitely strategy to it. There's layers to it. You can start small, like Zach was saying, right? You do the kind of the state shoots in your area, which are great because you're only competing against maybe the out of state if you're coming into one of those state shoots. And those state shoots are a lot of fun because you'll meet a lot of other shooters who are going around to the other shoots also. So, if you're making that swing through the West to go to the Satellite Grands in Tucson, obviously you're going to come to the Nevada State shoot in October.
Why wouldn't you?
The 77th is coming up. All right, Michael, thank you for the great question, guys. Thank you for the great answers. I know there's a lot of depth around the All-American points, and obviously the fans are interested in that.
Also, we've got Mid-State Precious Metals, Ron Prescott. He's a great guy for all your gold and silver needs. Ricky, tell him about our friend.
Yeah, Ron, he graciously donated a 10-ounce silver bar to our live in-person podcast in Tucson. And, he has everything. I bought a bunch of silver from him. We got our silver and gold for the fun day at the Nevada State shoot on Monday this year. John got all the silver and gold for the Nevada State shoot. So look him up for your silver and gold needs. He'll give you the best price out there.
He really is, and he's a friend of the Trap Shooters. I mean, he's looking to get gold and silver to these gun clubs for their shoots at the lowest price across the country. He's doing them a service and helping grow the sport. So, thank you so much for that, Ron.
Yeah, thank you, Ron. We appreciate it.
With that being said,
let's get to the show.
Next question's coming in from Corey Roulette, and Corey says, I recently switched to being a one-eyed shooter. Currently, I shoot an unsingle and was wondering if you had any tips for shooting with one eye and if an unsingle is the right gun for me, or should I look for a SBT or a top single? Love the podcast. I look forward to Friday mornings so I can watch the show. See, there you go. Corey loves Friday mornings, Zach. Perfect.
Zach.
Because of the Trap Talk podcast. All right, Corey. Corey is switching over. He's now going one eye, and he's shooting an unsingle. What are you guys thinking about that choice as far as from a one-eyed shooter standpoint?
I mean, it's If it works, if the shoe fits, wear it. Shooting going to one eye. So there's a reason he was shooting two eyes and now he's going to one eye.
Sounds
Is
like
he
it maybe, yeah.
left eye dominant, shooting right-handed, right eye dominant, shooting left-handed, So we need a little more info on that. But I would just say, as far as shooting an unsingle, you get more visibility with an unsingle versus the top single. But shooting one eye, here's what I would tell him, is show up to a shoot that there's some gun dealers that you could try some used guns, demo guns, whatever it might be, and try a top single and see what look is best for him. Visibility, seeing the target, acquiring it easier. I'm going to say the unsingle is easier, but I'm biased to that. I've been shooting an unsingle since 1989. So, but I would say that's what might be my number one recommendation is go to a shoot or reach out. If he's got some friends that have some top singles, try that.
Yeah.
I think, I would love some more insight on why he went from two eyes to one eye.
Yep.
Because I think we might be able to even fix that before he goes down that road, depending on what it is. I mean, if you were already shooting two eyes, I would say, unless there's something where you can't fix that, I would always recommend a shooter shoot two eyes if they can. Now, if we're past that point and we can't get it done, and we're down to one eye, it comes down to preference. At the end of the day, it's a preference question. I've heard from a lot of one-eyed shooters that they like having the top single because of reference point. So, to break that down, you really have to look at the target hard. And if you've only got one eye, right, you're really looking past the gun. With a top single, there's some reference there of that barrel, and they can utilize that in the background while still looking at the target very, very hard. I've heard from some one-eyed shooters with the unsingle before that, yes, you have more visibility, which is nice, but they feel like they're a little bit more lost out there because they're really looking at the target and they don't see anything come into the picture, right? And so they start to aim more off the tip of the gun, looking at the beads because they don't know where things are and they don't trust it. Now, if you can trust it either way, I don't think it matters. But, at the end of the day, you're going to have to figure out what your brain likes. If your brain can trust the unsingle and there's no barrel being there and really look at the target without looking back at the beads, then an unsingle is going to work. If you can only do that with a top single because you want to feel that you're getting close with the barrel, well, then a top single is going to work. But at the end of the day, give it a try and go from there.
Yeah. I'll just say, as a one-eyed shooter, I shoot an unsingle, and I like the extra visibility of being able to see more. Now, I'm down to a dot, which means I get a lot of peripheral vision too. I'm really just kind of blocking that left eye dominance from catching the bead, if you will. But I think you got to try it, right, Rick? I mean, that's the only thing. You've got to really spend a little bit of time. I've been definitely thinking about it myself, like just trying it, but the unsingles definitely worked for that time period. So, Corey, keep us in the loop. Tell us why we made that switch maybe from two eyes to one eye. Tell us, how much are you covering? Are we closing the eye? Are we a dot? Like kind of where are we at there? Send us some more information. We'd love to keep talking to you about it. And if you're in, one of the big shoots that we're going to be at this year, please come by, hang out. We can definitely talk about it then too. So, all right, Corey, good question.
All right, folks, we got to take a quick second and give a shout out to the Cardinal Center in Marengo, Ohio. They hold the Cardinal Classic and they also hold the Ohio State Shoot, which is home of the first back fence shootout. Ricky, what do you think about Ohio?
Listen, I love the Cardinal Center. I actually broke the first 100 from the 27 there at their very first shoot ever. Great place, Jake Spangler and their whole clan there. They do an awesome job at running the shoots. The Ohio State shoots ran by the Ohio State Association. The Cardinal Classic's right after the Grand. So if you're looking for some more points right after the Grand, hit that up so you can get a little more points than old Zach here. But listen, it's a great shoot. Great facility.
It really is. I personally love the RVs. They've got great camping there. They've got a great time, good shoot, good target presentation. Go check it out. It's worth putting on your list. With that being said,
let's get back to the show.
All right, we're moving on, guys. Next one's coming in from Debbie. And Debbie says, hi, enjoying the show and have learned a ton from you two and all of your great guests that you've had on so far. we need to have Nora on the episode. Not for lack of trying. We're trying everybody, guys. We're asking everybody. Sometimes just scheduling. My question is, though, how do I slow down my gun speed? I went from an older BT and with a Monte Carlo stock to an MX8. And I'll tell you that my P gun, my Parazzi, whips right over the targets. If I start getting too mindful, I start aiming and bead checking. Should I hold a higher point? Will that help? Am I trying everything but ammo and it's getting expensive, and some direction from you guys would help, I think. Thanks, Debbie. Well, Debbie, those P guns are pretty quick. I can tell you that.
Well, the one thing, the older Browning versus a Parazzi, the older Browning, the barrel is probably heavier than the Parazzi barrel.
Correct.
So if she is whipping the gun over the target, Debbie, if you're whipping the gun, I would say you're arm shooting with your front arm. And that's a no-no in trap shooting. So I would say is you can do one or two things. I'm not a big fan of, if you're holding on the house, just hold on the house, and you just gotta move with your back hand and go up through that target. You could always add a little weight on the front end of your forend.
That's what I'd do.
Barrel.
If you're not trying to go back and change everything, like you're like not wanting to take the clinic and learn how to shoot trap, and you're just like, I want to go back to shooting how I shot with the BT. The quickest way is going to be to add some weight to that barrel. Now from there, now you're going to be like, okay, now this feels the same at some level. And then you might want to start working on the finer intricacies of trap shooting, right? Work on the fundamentals of, hey, maybe I am shooting with my arms, or maybe I'm not rotating with my body, or maybe I need to take some instruction, or, go from there at some point. But, if one car moves faster than the other car, well, then we put a little weight on this one and slow it down, and you'll be good to go.
So is she fighting against like muscle memory here? Is that what's happening? Like she has all this built up muscle memory from the heavier barrel?
She could a little bit, but is what she's doing, in my opinion, is she's charging that gun weight a little more. So it took a little bit more to move it, where the Parazzi's a little lighter on the front end, and it's a lot easier to move. But a lighter gun moves faster, but stops quicker.
Slower.
A heavier gun moves slower, but continuously moves. Okay.
Correct.
So, like I said, the lighter barrel, it moves fast and it stops faster.
It's the same with hand shooting. If you're shooting with your hands move faster than your whole body, but they stop quicker. So if you use your hand to make a hand shot on the left side and you turn that hand, you're going to get that barrel on that target quickly. But as soon as you get where you want it to be, your eyes are going to say, oh, and lock up those hands and shoot. If I'm turning and pivoting with my shoulders and my waist and my whole body, and I'm driving through and I'm putting the whole force of my body behind that gun's going to push through and carry through the target in the direction that I'm turning my body, the same way we do when we rotate. So there's a right way to do it, obviously, and then there's a way people do it all the time and get away with it at some level.
All right, folks, we got to take another quick break and thank one of our show sponsors, 73 Pointers Ranch, Jonesburg, Missouri. Rick and Carla Burke, best place in the area to go shoot chuckers and pheasants and have a great time. Rick, we got to get you down there.
Yeah, I need to come in. Hopefully I can do some hunting with you guys and come to your the annual clay shoot in August right after the Grand.
It's a lot of fun. It's the Optimist Club charity shoot. They throw a charity shoot. They put it on, and it's wonderful. I think last year they had over 100 entries into it, and it's just a good time. With that being said,
let's get back to the show. Do some gun lifts, move around, but not whip. And that's the thing. That back hand needs to move. If you're pushing with the front or punching with that front hand, that's probably why you're
I would also take a look at the stock fit and say, if one's a lot shorter or longer than the other, that could make a big difference in the way the gun moves. So I've had a lot of times where I've switched from one gun to the other, and then I noticed that the gun was an inch shorter on the stock, and I'm like, man, this thing's whippy. Well, it's because it was so much shorter, and I didn't have control of it, so I lengthened it to the same length, and once I had the length the same, they started moving very similarly. So, there's other things that you can consider.
You want to look at the length of pole needs to be correct. Just because your Browning, was, say it's longer, that might not mean it's correct. So you want to make sure and get with somebody. And she mentioned Nora, so I'm assuming she's taking a class from Nora. So if she has, find out was the link to pull correct. And if it is, then make sure the Perazzi
Is that
the same or close to.
correct? Yeah. So if everything was perfect at the Browning, and now we got something that's different one way or the other, those are the things you need to check, folks.
Yep.
Check the stock length, compare it to what you had. Check the weight of the gun to compare it to what you had. A lot of the times what I'll do with a gun too is I'll take it on the hinge pin and just see where the point of balance is. I mean, some guns are back heavy, some guns are front heavy. So, your Browning, you might put it on the hinge pin. It might be front heavy where it's falling over on the hinge pin forward, right where it is in the center of your hands. And if you want to duplicate that, well, then you've got to start hanging weight on the front of that Perazzi until it falls at the same speed at that center point that the Browning does, right? Not saying that that's what you're going to want to do, but at the end of the day, if you want things to feel the same, you have to make them the same.
And I would recommend getting some tape weight. You could put it inside the forend. You can actually put it on the bottom of the barrel, right in front of the forend. That instead of hanging a weight there,
I never liked the hang weights. I've seen some guys do some really cool barrel weights in between the barrels, and they'll even run screws and stuff through it, or that tape, like you said, that lead tape works really good. I've seen people hollow out that forearm a little bit and put lead inside that. I mean, there's a lot of tricks that you can do to get it done, depending on the model of gun you're shooting and depending on how the barrel configuration is. But I mean, Rick, on your K80, that little tape out in front on the unsingle, is that just tape or is that a weight?
That's tape because that's where I put my finger, and the bottom of the rib is super sharp.
Yeah.
So I actually put white tape, sports tape on there. Well, the white sticks out, so then I take
black
tape and just wrap around it. And
I never asked because I know it's where your finger goes, but I didn't know if maybe you had some weight there too because it kind of looked big. But
I don't have anything. The only thing that's non-stock on my gun is the Winnig stock and forend. Because in my opinion, the Krieghoff's the best balanced gun out there. It's everything.
Yeah.
The weight's between your hands. So,
well, I think we've been kind of bearing the lead here for Debbie. I guess the real solution is obviously a K80 trap special. Krieghoff is the choice of champions. We all know it. You know it. But I will say this is these guys were saying, go back to basics. If the gun is faster, like the Perazzi, I can say this. If I move my Perazzi on the call, it's chaos. You have to let that bird come first, because if with a slower gun, you may have gotten away with it a little bit, but the Perazzi is ready to be there immediately. Let that bird come and then go. So see it, then go, I think, with the Perazzi is really important. Yeah, because it is very fast. But obviously, all else fails, call Rick. The K80 in your future obviously can solve all problems with trap shooting. So as a guy who's looking to join Team K. All right. Okay, guys. Thank you for that, Debbie. Really appreciate you sending in that question. Yeah, great question for everybody. Yes, and tell Nora we want her. Tell her, anytime we'll make it work, and we hope to see you at one of the next shoots out there. Come up and say hi for sure.
All right, folks, we need to take a quick second and get to a new show sponsor, Big Red Motorsports. Big Red, they're personal friends of mine, Jason and George Lee, and they're also a personal sponsor of mine.
Now, I'll say this. Ricky looked great driving around in that side-by-side. I got some free rides down at Tucson, the Autumn Grand. I think it's awesome that they deliver all across the country, and obviously they love trap shooters, they love trap shooting, and they're doing a great job.
Listen, they got Can-Am, Kawasaki, CF Moto, Triton trailers. Hit them up. We'll take care of you guys. With that being said,
let's get to the show.
And the Trap Talk podcast is brought to you in part by
RM Shooting Clinics. Have Ricky take your game to the next level. If you want to shoot hundreds, give Ricky a call today. Zach Nannini Financial. We believe in putting people first.